Today, I'm going to share with you a very interesting healing experience of treating a man from California who was suffering from two health conditions. He was a 73-year-old man, and he mentioned to me that he had two particular issues. One was with his eyes, and the second was related to his lower back. So I asked him to give me some details about his condition, and he said that the first problem that he was facing was that his eyes were not aligned. He had a squint, so he said that he has crossed eyes, and he was not able to see properly because of that. So typically, when he used to drive, he used to have a lot of confusion about what he was seeing, and that also caused certain amount of dizziness. So he was not able to live his life normally because of this particular condition. So he said that was one thing that he wanted me to work on. And the second issue was of some severe pain in the lower back. And he told me that that was because of an injury that he had in his early age. At the age of 13, he jumped from a certain height down to a surface, and unexpectedly there was something over there which injured his back. And since then there was a problem with his lower vertebrae, and his mother was not very keen on going to a doctor and getting it treated. So he said that that was just left like that, and for many years he suffered from a problem with his hip joint and his lower vertebrae. So whenever he used to walk, or he used to try to turn his leg, there was a certain turn that his hip joint would go through simultaneously. So that was a continuous source of discomfort for him. So he told me that these were the two conditions he wanted me to work on. I connected with him on video call, and I first asked him where he wanted me to start, and he said, well, his priority was the eyes. So I immediately started focusing on his eyes. I used my palms to sense the biofield of his eyes, and immediately I got a lot of sensations on my palms. I asked him to keep his attention to his head and his face and his eyes and observe what he felt in his body. Almost immediately, he had a tingling sensation in both of his hands. So he told me that immediately he could feel that there was some kind of a vibration, some kind of twitching which was happening in his hands. And that gave me an indication that the healing had instantly started. So I continued working on his eyes, trying to sense the biofield, trying to observe what his eyes were communicating to me. And as I did that, he started feeling a lot of energy around his face. And interestingly, after a while, he started feeling as if one of his eye, the right eye, which was the one affected, was getting pulled on the outside. So he told me that he's feeling as if there is something which is pulling the eye and getting it into alignment. Simultaneously, he also mentioned to me that while I was sensing his biofield, the left side of his head also started feeling something very weird happening inside. He could feel some movement, he could feel something shifting, and some vibrations in the left side of his head. So he himself told me that, Sachin, I know that the body is cross connected. So the right organs of the body on the right hand side are connected with the left hemisphere of the brain, and I found his logic to be quite valid, that there was some change happening on the left side of his head, of his brain, which was correcting his right eye. So I was quite happy about it. For the next 10 minutes, I continued doing the healing process for him. I used three techniques on him. The first one was sensing his body's biofield, which I used for maximum period of time. In the 30-minute healing session, I must have used this for about 15 minutes. I also used heart energy healing. So I sent heart energy from my heart chakra to his eyes, and there also, when I did that, he started feeling a lot of change happening inside his body. Suddenly, there was a lot of mucus secretion, and he told me that I, in fact, saw him swallowing. So I asked him, do you have a swallowing reflex? And he said, yes, there's a lot of mucus which is getting cleared off from my sinuses and it is flowing down my throat. So I could sense him continuously swallowing. And that was an indication that the sinus channel was getting cleared up. Probably the eyes were correcting themselves. There was some change which was happening there. So he was feeling that. I also used quantum entrainment. So I held both of his eyeballs in my palms very gently with a lot of care. And I went into the 0 point, simply feeding my awareness to his eyes. So continuously, I was focused on his eyes and sent a lot of deep unconditional love to his eyes, and went into the state of 0 point for about 5 to 7 minutes. All in all, after 30 minutes, I asked him to get up and check. And surprisingly, he mentioned to me that he was able to see the computer screen much clearer. And suddenly he realized that he was not wearing his spectacles. So while we were doing the treatment, I had asked him to take off his specs. So he had put them over his head like this. And when he looked at the computer screen and he was able to see it pretty clear, he suddenly realized that he did not have his spectacles on his eyes. And he was surprised because otherwise he would not be able to see so clearly even after using his spectacles. So that was one thing which was very surprising. He was quite happy with the results. And the second thing is that when I asked him to walk around and check what he was feeling, he said that his back pain had completely gone. He was feeling very light and very comfortable. There was no pain in his back. So interestingly, even if I had not really focused on the back for a long time, I had just worked on his back, I think, for about 3 to 4 minutes, and that too without looking at the back. So I just asked him to sit in the same position, and while I was doing the healing to the rest of his body, I also went down the spine and I simply worked on the lower back for about 2 or 3 minutes, trying to sense the biofield of the lower back. So that was the just about 3 or 4 minutes that I had spent on his lower back. And surprisingly, he found that both the issues had started getting corrected. So this was a very interesting experience, and I encourage you to try this healing method on people who have eye-related issues. I have also used this method on people who have disorders with their retina, disorders with their eyes in terms of glaucoma or some other conditions which cause discomfort in the eye, excess pressure in the eye. And the quantum healing is very effective in helping people get very good relief from these conditions. So I encourage you to use this for such conditions. If you have any queries, if you have anything to ask or share, do get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help you with that. Thank you.